You flick off the bedroom light, and for 1 second, before you're even under the covers, your eyes go straight to the corner of the room. You don't decide to look. It just happens. Your heart ticks up a notch. Then you laugh it off, pull the blanket over your legs, and tell yourself you're being ridiculous. But the real answer is far stranger than ridiculous. That flinch wasn't fear of the dark. It was something your ancestors installed in you long before bedrooms existed. Here's the twist. Darkness itself was never the threat. Darkness was just the delivery system. What your ancestors actually feared every single night for millions of years was being eaten. Sit with that for a second. Eaten, not robbed, not frightened by a noise. Hunted, stalked, and killed by something with teeth that saw better in the dark than they did. For most of human history, you were not the strongest animal in the room. You didn't have claws. You didn't have fangs. You couldn't outrun a leopard or outmuscle a hyena. You were, for a huge stretch of prehistory, prey. And prey animals don't fear the dark because it's spooky. They fear it because it's when the eyes with better night vision than theirs come looking for dinner. Anthropologists Donna Hart and Robert Sussman spent years digging through fossil evidence. Most textbooks skipped right past. Bite marks, puncture wounds on ancient hominin skulls that matched the tooth spacing of big cats. Talon marks that lined up with birds of prey large enough to carry off a small primate. Their research, laid out in the book, Man the Hunted, made a case that early humans weren't just occasional hunters. They were, quite often, the hunted. Think about what that means for a body clock. If your ancestors were regularly on the menu, then the ones who survived to pass on their genes were the ones who felt uneasy at dusk, the ones who tensed up in open, unlit spaces, the ones who slept in groups, huddled close, with someone always half awake and listening. The anxious ones lived. The relaxed ones didn't get the chance to have children. That's evolution in a nutshell. It doesn't reward bravery. It rewards whatever keeps you breathing long enough to reproduce. And for a small, slow, clawless primate, what kept you breathing was a finely tuned fear response that switched on the moment the light went away. Here's where it gets interesting. This fear didn't stay vague, it got specific. Psychologist Arne Ullman ran a series of studies testing how quickly people notice threatening images hidden in a crowd of neutral ones. Snakes and spiders got picked out almost instantly, far faster than flowers or mushrooms, even by people who had never been bitten by either. Ullman called this a fear module, a kind of pre-installed alarm system tuned to ancient predators and dangers, running quietly in the background of your brain before your conscious mind even catches up. You inherited that module. It doesn't know that your bedroom door is locked. It doesn't know that the biggest predator in your neighborhood is a stray cat. It only knows one rule, written over hundreds of thousands of years. When the light drops, danger rises. So it fires anyway. That prickle on the back of your neck when you walk to your car in an empty parking garage isn't really about the parking garage. It's a leopard-era alarm going off in a smartphone-era body. Now here's the part nobody expects. This ancient fear didn't just make people cautious, it built entire belief systems. Folklorist David Hufford spent decades studying a strange, oddly consistent phenomenon reported across wildly different cultures, with no contact with each other, an experience where a person wakes up unable to move, convinced something is sitting on their chest, watching them. Sleep researchers now call this sleep paralysis, but before it had a clinical name, cultures around the world had their own names for the thing sitting there in the dark. A hag, a demon, a night witch. Hufford noticed something remarkable. The descriptions, gathered from people who had never spoken to each other, who lived oceans apart, lined up almost exactly. A crushing weight, a sense of pure evil intent, an inability to scream. Hufford's theory was not that ghosts are real. It was that the human fear circuitry is so ancient and so universal that when it misfires during a glitch in sleep, it doesn't produce random panic. It produces the same shape of terror over and over in every culture because it's built from the same evolutionary blueprint. The monster changes name depending on where you're born. The feeling underneath it does not. So the campfire stories, the monster under the bed, the thing your grandmother swore she saw standing at the foot of her bed one night, these aren't just superstition passed down for fun. They're modern costumes draped over a very old, very real survival instinct. Humans didn't invent fear of the dark and then invent monsters to explain it.